and welcome. I'm Eric Gao, and here's what happened this week. A magnitude 7.2 earthquake hit Taiwan on Wednesday morning, with the epicenter off the coast of Hualien County in the country's east. Multiple people were killed in the quake, with over 1,000 injured. It's the largest tremor to hit Taiwan in 25 years. Here's Tiffany Wong's report from that afternoon.
Starting the day with a magnitude 7.2 earthquake. It struck just before 8 a.m. off Taiwan's coastal city of Hualien and could be felt around the country, toppling buildings, triggering a tsunami warning, and causing landslides. At least 4 people were killed and dozens more were injured. In the capital of Taipei, over 100 kilometers from Hualien, residents were left rattled.
因为摇得很厉害，然后我们家门口的机车都倒，然后我就赶快关瓦斯、关电源，把大门打开，很强啊，好像房子快倒了。
对，因为它是这样子蛮晃的，所以可能也很久没地震了，所以就觉得很恐怖。
The strong tremor and several aftershocks brought traffic around the island to a standstill during the morning rush hour, while officials inspected the metro, train, and high-speed rail systems.
Earthquake relief efforts are still underway, with people being evacuated from damaged buildings and roads still being cleared. Now, a tsunami warning is still in place, and government officials have warned people to be on high alert for aftershocks. Howard Zhang and Tiffany Wong in Taipei for TaiwanPlus.
Our reporter Rick Lauer was in Hualien following the earthquake relief efforts there. Here's his report on their progress as of Friday afternoon.
An anxious wait for news. These families still have relatives trapped on Taiwan's mountains, 2 days after the largest earthquake in 25 years hit the country. 64-year-old Lin Qianhui last heard from her son through this online post. He stopped off in the national park here on his way to visit her for the long holiday weekend.
在心里一直祷告他们。 祈祷他们，叫朋友帮忙祷告，集众人的力气，帮他们，希望他们平安。
Dozens are still missing in this national park. The magnitude 7.2 quake hit just kilometers from here, bringing landslides down the mountains and sending boulders crashing onto hiking paths and roads. Rescuers are battling some of Taiwan's most rugged terrain. 3,000-meter-high mountains rise from very steep gorges. This natural site attracts hundreds of thousands of visitors each year, and a number of this quake's fatalities were tourists being hit by falling rocks. Rescuers have made contact with many of those stranded in the area's hotels and on its hiking trails, but others are still unaccounted for. Bad weather is making helicopter trips difficult, and the steep valleys mean drones easily lose connection. But Taiwan is no stranger to this type of disaster. Teams here train regularly for this eventuality and have recently been deployed in global disaster zones.
我觉得我们这个任务执行到目前为止呢，都还算是顺利，而且效率也不错。那我有把握这个任务是可以顺利完成的。所以我们搜救人员虽然很辛苦，而且冒着很大的风险，但是我相信我们的同仁应该可以把它做得很好。
As large aftershocks continue through a third day, rescue workers, unfazed, focus on the task at hand. They're hoping to soon clear key roads and bring more people to safety. But for these families, each minute is an agonizing wait for news of their loved ones. Justin Wu and Rick Lauert in Hualien for TaiwanPlus.
The earthquake caused severe damage across Taiwan, including in areas far from the epicenter in Hualien. John Van Triest looks at how the rest of the country is held up.
In the heart of Taipei, not far from City Hall, debris falls from a construction site, shaken loose by Wednesday morning's magnitude 7.2 earthquake. Taipei is more than 100 kilometers from the epicenter of the earthquake in Hualien, but violent shaking damaged several buildings in the city. This cluster of 10 buildings is among the worst hit. The 50 households living here are sheltering at a nearby school, and structural experts are not optimistic about the building's chances of repair.
到这种程度的话，就是最好不要再居住了，尽量不要进来太久，因为 遗症不晓得什么时候会来。
There were similar scenes in neighboring New Taipei, too. 157 people evacuated from this building, which had started to lean. They've been placed in hotels and other temporary accommodation, with the city's mayor promising thorough repairs.
到旅社跟饭店待一下，那我们会尽速的在检测安全结构没问题以后，可以回家拿东西，再拿东西，可以回家住，再回家住。
And the collapse of a mountain slope exposed the foundations of these buildings. Construction crews are reinforcing them with concrete blocks, but officials think there's a chance at least some of the 500 households in this neighborhood will need to evacuate too. There were also injuries. Rescuers pulled out 4 people trapped in a collapsed factory, and 2 workers in Taipei were severely burned when the earthquake tipped over a vat of chemicals. Central Taiwan saw damage too. Rock slides on this mountain road in Taichung trapped 21 and injured others. Firefighters were left to rescue them on foot. And in the city of Yuanlin in Zhanghua County, falling debris from a residential building damaged cars. Aftershocks continue to rock much of the country, meaning the final tally of damage and destruction may continue to climb. Delphine Chen and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
Transit workers moved quickly to restore Taiwan's transportation system after Wednesday's earthquake, which fell right before a major national holiday. Tiffany Wong was reporting from Taipei Main Station.
Most of Taiwan's transit systems have been restored after Wednesday's 7.2 magnitude earthquake, and many people are looking to take train and high-speed rail here. Now that's because it's the start of a long weekend in Taiwan with the Qingming Tomb Sweeping Festival and Children's Day coinciding, and lots of people are trying to get back home to be with their families. Now, trains to Hualien near the epicenter of the quake have been restored, but some people say that they still don't dare to get too close to the center.
Yeah, we were planning to go to Hualien and to visit Taroko National Park, but the park is closed for the next week, so we've changed our plans to go to Ilan instead.
Others braved the trip on the rails out of Hualien, even as they felt constant aftershocks.
Yeah, the train was safe this morning, except going under the tunnels, which were in the mountain area near the Taroko Gorge. It was very unnerving because you could still feel the tremors.
The highway from Ilan to Hualien is still blocked by landslide debris, and officials say that could take days to clear. But people traveling to the west coast, the opposite side of Taiwan from where the earthquake happened, say that they're not too worried about any more travel interruptions.
我看那个台中那边的状况也还好，那个酒店也打电话跟我们说，状况还不错，就没有怎么样，所以我们就决定继续。
Now, as the country's transit systems are restored, people are looking forward to the long holiday ahead and also getting back to life as normal. Ryan Wu and Tiffany Wong in Taipei for TaiwanPlus.
Taiwan's Northern Science Park evacuated all staff on Wednesday morning after the earthquake hit, and some companies halted production lines as a precaution. Now, that park houses over 400 high-tech firms, including leading chipmaker TSMC. Following inspections, TSMC said that a small number of tools were damaged, but none of the critical ones. To discuss the earthquake's impact on the global chip supply, which heavily relies on Taiwan, our reporter Joyce Zinn spoke to Vice Chair of Tech Insights, Dan Hutchison.
Following the earthquake here, tech firms like TSMC, NVIDIA, and Foxconn have reported minimal or no damages to their systems. But are you expecting some business impact from the temporary shutdown of some production?
I'm actually not expecting a lot because a lot's been learned. I mean, the 1999 earthquake was a real disaster. Semiconductor facilities were really shut down for several weeks. And it took a long time before they could even get back into the fabs because some of the gas lines had broken and leaked out. Today, it's a lot better. They have a lot better protocols. They learned a lot from that earthquake. You make sure all the equipment is properly bolted down and you build it to earthquake standards to be able to do a 7 or an 8 Richter scale.
As you're describing, there's quite a big difference in the impact and recovery between the September 1999 quake and this one. What is your biggest impression from TSMC's response this time?
So much of the world relies on TSMC today, and Taiwan is a center of global manufacturing. And they know that. And they also know that because the world relies on them, they have to be really, really perfect in terms of how they handle this and make sure they don't have a disruption. And the one thing that I've noticed, particularly with TSMC in the last 10 years, is how they've become much more conservative in terms of these sort of supply chain risks that they're willing to take. And I think the fact that TSMC could report they were up at 70% is amazing, because I remember in '99, there were fabs that they couldn't even get into the fab for a week or two. So it just shows you how much progress they've made in terms of the safety and supply chain security of the fab, and the safety to the employees too.
Often concerns about TSMC and Taiwan's chip supply focuses on China's threat to invade Taiwan. But of course, Taiwan is prone to typhoons and earthquakes. Does this earthquake add to or change concerns about supply chains?
I mean, we've known this. I mean, if you knew anything about the history of Taiwan and whatnot, you would have known about the 1999 earthquake. And so it's not like this is a big change. We've known about the earthquakes when people were talking about moving, like getting TSMC to move to Arizona or to move to Japan. Earthquakes were part of the equation there. But it is important for them to diversify in order to maintain the confidence, because the worst thing would be is if the world lost confidence in them. I don't think that this earthquake has shaken the confidence in TSMC's ability to supply the world semiconductors.
That was Joyce Sun speaking with Dan Hutchison, the Vice Chair of Tech Insights. Former President Ma Ying-jeou has sparked controversy over remarks that he made while visiting China. John Van Trieste has this report.
Former President Ma Ying-jeou visits an electric car factory in China, part of a tour of China's latest breakthroughs in tech and engineering. Ma's 2 terms in office were a period of warming ties with China, and he's hoping to bring those times back. China claims Taiwan and says it won't hesitate to take it by force. But Ma and his party, the Kuomintang, say that China and Taiwan can peacefully coexist. As far back as 1992, they'd met with Chinese leaders and hammered out a tacit agreement, the so-called 1992 Consensus. Under this agreement, both sides would agree they belong to one China, but agree to disagree about the rest of the details. It's an approach his successors, the China-wary Democratic Progressive Party, have rejected, leading to tensions not seen in years. During his visit to China, Ma's repeated his view that China and Taiwan should put their differences aside.
我深切期望两岸应共同合作，避免战争，致力和平，奋斗振兴中华，共创和平繁荣。
That, and his continued commitment to the 92 Consensus, have his Democratic Progressive Party rivals angry.
一定会是两岸一家亲，一定马英九会去强调九二共识啊。但是呢，在整个印太地区啊，就台海里面呢，这紧张的关系啊，就是谁造成的？就是中国造成的嘛。
And even the Taiwan People's Party, which advocates more communication with China, questions Ma's views.
但是也不能说只有九二共识才是两岸不打仗的方法，这个总是要寻求方法吧。
Taiwan's partisan divide over how to best approach China is long-running and deep, and Ma's visit to China shows it's not going anywhere. James Lin and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
A Taiwan-made mobile air defense system will make its debut in military exercises next week. Taiwan's largest weapons maker, the Zhongshan Institute, says it will test a field air defense system with anti-air missiles launched from the back of a truck. The system allows for greater mobility, something that Taiwan has been working toward in its defense strategy. Besides these weapons, Taiwan plans to fire a variety of other missiles at the drills in Pingdong in the country's south starting on Monday. Thanks for joining us for Here's What Happened. Visit the TaiwanPlus website or follow us on social media for more of our reports. And finally, here is the moment that the earthquake hit Taiwan. I'm Eric Gao. Stay safe out there.